All right, let's dive right in. We need to talk about rent. Because if you're one of the millions of Americans who rents, you've got to be asking yourself one thing. Why is my rent going up again when literally everyone said it was supposed to be cooling down? I mean, that was the big headline, wasn't it? After the absolutely wild price shocks of the last couple of years, 2024 was supposed to be the year we all got a little relief. The data was pointing that way, all the experts were saying it, and renters everywhere were kind of holding their breath. And then, boom, that email lands in your inbox, the one you've been dreading, your lease renewal. And that number, it's ticking up again. It's this super frustrating feeling, right? Because it's the total opposite of what we were all told to expect. To get to the bottom of this, we have to look way deeper than the headlines. We're going to peel back the layers and break down the powerful, kind of hidden forces that are pushing our rents up. Let's figure out what's really happening in the US rental market right now. Okay, so first things first. We need to understand the vibe of these rent increases. This is not a replay of the chaos from a couple of years ago. No way. This is something different, something quieter, and maybe even more relentless. And you can really see the contrast here. 2022 was just a shockwave, right? These sudden massive rent hikes that seemed to hit everyone, everywhere, all at once. But 2024, it's a totally different story. It's this slow, steady squeeze. The increases might not be as huge, but they just keep coming, building that pressure month after month. And yeah, this chart, it really shows you why this whole thing can feel so darn confusing. It is not one single story across the country. We're seeing much faster rent growth in cities all over the South and the Midwest. Meanwhile, the big coastal markets, they're actually stabilizing a bit. It's this patchwork of different realities, and it all depends on where you happen to live. So where is all this pressure even coming from? Well, the biggest piece of the puzzle is a problem that's been brewing for more than a decade. This isn't something that just popped up overnight. Nope, this is the bill for past decisions finally coming due. Okay, just let this timeline sink in for a minute because it tells the whole story. It all starts back in 2008. The housing market completely crashes and new construction just stops. Then for the entire next decade, we never really caught up. We were building way too slowly for a growing population. And just when it seemed like things might finally pick up, the pandemic hits, snarling supply chains and creating even more delays. So the result today is this deep, fundamental shortage of places for people to actually live. And you know what? It all boils down to the most basic rule in economics: supply and demand. When you have a massive number of people looking for a place to live, all chasing after a very limited supply of apartments, well, prices really only have one direction they can go: up. Now, in a normal market, there's usually an escape hatch, right? A release valve. When rents get too high, people just say, forget it, I'm going to buy a house instead. But for millions of Americans right now, that release valve is rusted shut. And this right here, this is the frustrating trap so many people are caught in. You want to escape your rising rent by buying a home, but you're immediately hit with this brutal 1-2 punch. Mortgage rates are incredibly high, and home prices just haven't come down enough. So what's the only real choice? You stay put and keep renting, often for years longer than you ever planned. The knock-on effect from this is just huge. When all those would-be home buyers can't actually buy, they don't leave the rental market. So the pool of renters stays packed, or it even gets bigger, which keeps competition for apartments fierce. And that gives landlords all the leverage they need to keep nudging prices up. But hey, this isn't just a story about demand. Let's flip the coin for a second and look at the other side of this equation, because the cost of providing a place to live has also gone through the roof for builders and for landlords. I mean, just look at this. It's hitting everyone. If you're trying to build new apartments to help with the shortage, your loans are more expensive, materials cost more, and finding labor is still tough. And if you're an existing landlord, oh man, your property taxes are up, your insurance premiums have absolutely skyrocketed, and even basic repairs cost more. These costs have to go somewhere. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Now look, this isn't true for every single landlord out there, for sure. But for a lot of them, especially those smaller mom-and-pop owners, raising the rent isn't about greed. It's a direct response to their own exploding expenses. It's just survival math. Okay, so we've pulled apart the problem. We know why this is happening. But the billion-dollar question is, what does this all actually mean for you? And what does the future even look like from here?
This table pretty much lays it all out. First, those rent hikes, yeah, they're probably not disappearing, but you can expect them to be smaller and more consistent. Now, if you're looking to negotiate, here's a little pro tip. You'll probably have more luck with older buildings. Why? Because they aren't trying to pay off some massive recent construction loan like a brand new luxury tower is. There is some good news, though. A big wave of new apartments is finally hitting the market. But, and this is a really big but, it's going to take a while for that new supply to actually ease prices for everybody.
And this is the most crucial thing to remember. The housing market is like a massive cargo ship. It takes a really, really long time to change course. Even with thousands of new apartments being built, you're not going to feel the effects on your rent tomorrow. Unfortunately, patience is just part of the game here.
So when you put all these pieces together, what do you get? Today's rent increases aren't about hype or some crazy, sudden boom. They're about momentum, a powerful underlying force that's been created by years of underbuilding, a locked-up housing market, and rising costs for absolutely everyone involved.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty powerful question. We've got all this pressure building up in the system, day after day. We know the release valve, more housing, is on the way, but it's slow. So until that supply finally truly catches up to a decade of pent-up demand, where does all that pressure go next?